What is happening, everybody? Happy Wednesday afternoon. I hope you all are having a great middle of the week. We've got all sorts of hockey to talk about. Going back to last weekend, we're going to take a look at the Maine Mariners 5-point weekend. Boston Bruins suddenly winners of 4 games in a row. And how upside down are those NHL standings right now? We're going to talk about all of that right now. Let's get after it. All right, guys, we're going to kick this off by talking about those ECHL Boston Bruin affiliate Maine Mariners. What a wonderful start to the season. I mean, any Maine Mariner fan that's been around a while, you know how slow these Octobers have been over these years. I think it's been, 3 or 4 years of really bad October, early Novembers. Well, guys, the team is 4-1-1-1, 10 points, sitting second in the North Division, just 1 point behind the readingroyals. Just refreshing, isn't it? Doesn't it feel good? Let's go back to Friday. Let's talk about that one up in Adirondack. Of course, this was a 2-1 game that went right to the shootout. Shots on goal on this one, 28 apiece. That was 9-9-6, 3 in the overtime for Maine. For Adirondack, 7-8, 7-6 in the overtime. Not a lot of power play opportunities, 0 for 2 for both clubs. Goal scorers here, Adirondack, McManus getting his 4th. That was in the first period. And then it was Jacob Perreault with his 3rd of the season. We're going to talk a lot more about him. And Brooklyn Kalmakoff with the assist. There was Xander Lampa with the second shootout goal there to get the win for your Maine Mariners. Kavlin was in net, was excellent once again, 27 saves on 28 shots. That's 27 on 28 shots, and only gave up the 1 out of 7 in the shootout. So great performance there for Kavlin. Now let's go to Saturday. Of course, these boys have to jump on a bus and take the 5-hour ride, something like that, 5.5-hour ride back to Portland to play Saturday night back here at the Cross. 3-2 shootout win for Adirondack in this one. Shots on goal, a little bit more activity, I would say. Adirondack with 30 shots to Maine's 40. That's 13-9, 4-3 for Adirondack. For Maine, 7, 15, 12, and 6 to make it a 40-shot night for the Mariners. 1 for 5 on the power play for Adirondack. 0 for 4 for Maine on this one. Looking at your main goal scorers, I just had the 2. It was Cronin with his 2nd, McCollum and Perreault with the assists, and then Hemstrom in that 3rd period. That was a shorthanded goal and Lampa and Bellamy with the helpers on that one. Looking at the shootout, of course, nothing there for Maine. Of course, they lose that one in just the 3 rounds of the shootout. Arvanitis in net for this one. Played well, 27 saves on 29 shots. Did give up the 2 on the shootout, but no fault there. So you do get the loser point, but Adirondack paying that back fairly quickly to the Maine Mariners. And then you go to Sunday afternoon after playing those 2 kind of grinding games. They got the readingroyals that come in. Of course, a team that shut us out the last time they were up here, but Maine getting this one 5-1. I believe this is the first regulation loss for the readingroyals this season, turning out to be a very good team, very good start for them. Another 40-shot night for the Mariners. 40 shots for Maine, 26 for Reading. That's 7, 7, and 12 for Reading. 9, 18, and 13 for the Maine Mariners. Reading 0 for 1 on the power play. Maine 1 for 5. We'll roll through these goal scorers for the Mariners. Perreault with his 4th. Hudson and Mascott with the helpers. DePaulo getting his 1st goal. Villegas and Raymond, newcomer Raymond on the team, getting a helper there. Mascott with his 1st goal, Cronin and Perreault with assists. Cronin with his 3rd there in the 2nd period. Another assist for Perreault, and then Gallagher getting his 1st of the season. Hudson and Andreev, they're on the power play getting that one. Of course, Maine does give up a shorthanded goal in the 2nd period. That was to Cook, Sajin, and Kulikov with the helpers on that one. So, yeah, something you kind of want to clean up if you're the Maine Mariners. Kavlin back in net, looking great once again. 25 saves on 26 shots. Of course, that Shorty was the only one he gave up. But yeah, just a brilliant effort after 2 real hard kind of, fought, grinding type of games, a little bit of travel. You play a really good team in Reading, and you kind of take them to task a little bit here. So great to see that. Um, yeah, looking at the weekend, looking at your kind of top goal scorers, of course, no surprise. Jacob Perreault, 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Absolutely love to see just how dynamic this guy can be. Of course, a former first round draft pick. And when Coach Kowalski was on the midday show with Mannix and Mannix on Monday, he talked about I think it was halfway through the game on Saturday, I think he said, where he had to kind of pull Perreault to the side and say, hey, buddy, if we're going to get anything out of this game, or maybe it was even Friday night, I can't remember now. But he had to pull him off to the side and say, hey, we need you. We need you to get this thing going here. And what I love about that is Coach, brought that up to him, and Jacob responded. He responded with just a brilliant effort. And that line, his line really drove play really the rest of the weekend. So you do kind of worry about that. How will guys respond to criticism or a coach pulling them off to the side? And I love it on both fronts. I love the fact that Coach Kowalski is that kind of coach where he's going to call out his best players and say, hey, wait, we need more out of you. We're not winning without you. And having Perreault respond the way he did and pick up the whole play for his line and got those 5 points on the weekend. That is just incredible. Cronin, 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Hudson, staying really active as well, 2 assists. Massacott, 1 goal, 1 assist for 2 points. And then, of course, Cavalin, 52 saves on 54 shots on the weekend. That's a .963 save percentage. Of course, picking up the 2 wins. Love that. Of course, this was our first time seeing Adirondack. Coach mentioned how he wasn't really well versed on the players there. Now they've got a book on this team a little bit, but this is a team that plays a real grinding style, shot blocking style of defense. Not a team that you can be really cute or try to be kind of perfect with your passes. And I think early on that Friday game, Maine was, as Coach said, kind of a little too cute. Trying to be a little too precise, a little too perfect, knowing how good they are offensively, right? But they stuck with it. They figured it out. They simplified the play a little bit, and was able to get those 2 points and really 3 points out of 4 against Adirondack. So hopefully next time out, they'll be a little more prepared to play a team like that, a team that they, a style of play they hadn't really seen yet this season. So now they've seen it. Hopefully they can be a little bit better moving forward. And of course, the Reading game, as Coach said, they was just, pucks and bodies to the net. They just created traffic, created difficulty for the goaltender, and just played kind of a physical, kind of style, really was aggressive in and around the net. And it led to just maybe one of the best wins of the season. And a win I know it's early, but a team now that you're chasing them now. You're just 1 point down. So that was a big swing game for the top of the standings. If you want to capture this North Division, Reading might be the best team you're going to face. So great overall. You take 5 out of 6 points any weekend. Let's look at some of the top scorers right now, guys. Of course, we're going to mention him again. Jacob Perreault on the season, 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 points. That puts him 5th in the ECHL in scoring. Brooklyn Kalmakoff, 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 points. Jacob Hudson, of course, with that hat trick from a week ago, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. Andreev, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. And Cronin, 3 and 6 for him. Of course, looking at special teams on the weekend, the power play, 1 for 9. PK, however, 7 for 8. So very, very good there. On the season, the power play sits at 14%. PK at 83%. We know this PK is going to be very, very good most of the year. They're going to have active sticks. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to be physical on the PK. They're going to be, I think, a very hard team, and to score against. And I think you're going to continue to see that 83% could actually go up a little bit. On the power play, though, 14%. How worried are we? I know it came up when Coach talked again to Mannix and Mannix this week. He didn't seem overly worried. I think he would obviously love to see more pucks in the net. But I think they're doing a lot of the right things, and clearly, they're missing some guys right now that will help on that power play. But you can't sit at 14% all season. You don't want that to be a momentum killer for you. And of course, you did give up a shorthanded goal this weekend as well. So something you just want to clean up a little bit, continue to work on it early in the season. They're going to get that chemistry. I have all the confidence in the world that power play number is going to improve for the team. All right, so let's talk about some of the injuries. Of course, this also came up when Coach was on Monday on the radio. He highlighted some of this, but of course, we have Willem Dafoe, shoulder surgery, going to be a long-term injury there for him. Same for Ty Shoveldayoff. Unfortunately, ankle fracture. He's having surgery. Also going to be long-term out for him. Stewart, shoulder as well, going to be out for a bit. We know Vidmar. Last word was he hadn't started skating yet. We'll see how long he's going to be out, but that's a lot of guys. Early on here to have 4 guys, so other guys are going to have to step up. We'll see if a Gallagher ends up coming back to Maine. Of course, he's back up in Providence right now. You wonder if the team can't find a way to get him back for a game or two this weekend. We will see, but some early season challenges for the Maine Mariners. A little update on Mason Primo. Of course, a player that was signed, comes in with a lot of NHL pedigree, has not been around the team, has been out. Looks like he is still technically week to week, but is going to be joining the team here really, really soon. So that's very, very good news. This kid could be another really solid offensive weapon and could also be a kid that could help on the power play. So it'd be really great to get him healthy, get him back out there. Really looking forward to seeing him here soon. Other roster moves, of course, we just talked about Gallagher. He did get recalled back to Providence. Again, the hope is we'll see him back here soon. And of course, Sean Elliman serving that 7-game suspension. He's got 4 more games to go on that suspension. Really miss him a lot. He very, very important player to the club. Really brings that physical, might I say, element to the team. I know, sorry, that was bad. I'll see my way out now, guys. Sorry about that. But a couple other signings, of course, with all the injuries, they had to fill in some gaps. So forward Ben Raymond signed. He did play this weekend. Good to see that. 24-year-old out of Colgate. Last season got into 4 games with Iowa in the ECHL. 1 assist there. And, of course, has the 2 games now with the Maine Mariners. Did having a helper this weekend. And forward Zachary Jones. This is such a great story. Signs with the club. Of course, he was in Maine Mariner camp. Played quite well in camp. I think he was, I would imagine, one of the last cuts because he did play a really, really strong camp for himself. 24 years old for himself. 3 years he did play in the Q up in Halifax, and then 3 years at Acadia University. So it'd be great to have him here on the team. And then, of course, the Mariners make a trade. Defenseman Owen Galatin, not sure how you pronounce that one, traded from Fort Wayne, 23 years old, out of the University of Minnesota Duluth. Played 10 games for Fort Wayne, has 3 assists in those 10 games. So, again, with the Stewart injury and Gallagher kind of going up and down, he needs some extra depth. So, nice there to see him added to the club. And we'll see what other moves come. That Coach Kowalski is going to stay busy on the phones, and, there may be more to come here. So, good. Now let's turn to this coming weekend. We have got 3 games against the worcesterrailers. Of course, Friday night is the last home game for 2.5 or 3 weeks. So, if you're looking to get to a game, Friday's going to be your last chance for a bit. But the worcesterrailers, yikes, man, coming in 1-4-0-1, 3 points on the season. Worse than that, only 9 goals scored in those 6 games, 23 goals allowed. We thought our power play was bad at 14%. They're at 11.8. Their PK is at 80%. Of course, we have the Friday 7:15 start at the Cross. They followed that up with 2 games back in Worcester, Saturday night at 6:05, and then the Sunday matinee at 3:05. Top performers for the worcesterrailers: Drew Callan, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. Anthony Rapace, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. And former UMaine Black Bear Ross Mitten on the team has 3 assists on the year so far, so it'll be fun to watch him. Goaltending, Henrik Tikkanen really has been kind of their better of the 2 goaltenders, 2.22 goals against and a .918 save percentage in 3 games. So kind of surprising to see all those goals given up when you have him out there for half of those games. But Tristan Lennox, the other goaltender, 4.67 goals against an .846 save percentage. So rough start for Lennox. Imagine you're going to see both of these goaltenders throughout the weekend. What are the expectations here? Of course, this is a team that Maine knows very, very well, the arch rival. This team, I would imagine, is going to come in here Friday night pretty pissed off, pretty mad. I mean, if I'm only scoring 9 goals through 6 games and, only 3 points on the year, I'm going to be pretty pissed off as well. So I think all the expectations in the world, this is already a pretty physical series. I expect a lot of physical play. And I think it's physical play that will probably carry over from Friday to Saturday, Saturday to Sundays. So, yeah, it could be a lot of fun if you're a spectator. Not sure how much fun it'll be, for the players. But when you think about some of the players Maine is missing right now, think Shoveldayoff, think Element, think Stewart, think Vidmar. Other guys are going to have to step up with the physical play here this weekend. And I think it's going to be really important for Maine to kind of stick to what they do best, stay disciplined, stay out of the penalty box. Don't give this team any life. But it's always fun when Maine and Worcester get together. So as I said, Friday will be your last opportunity for a couple of weeks to see them here in Portland. But yeah, go get those tickets. And hey, Worcester's not a bad ride, so come on down to Worcester and check them out as well if you want to this weekend. All right, a real quick look around the ECHL tonight. Already a couple games gone final. Greenville 3-1 over Atlanta. Allen 6-4 winners over Wichita. Kansas City 5, Idaho 2. Later tonight, Bloomington is at Indy, 7 p.m. start. Jacksonville at Savannah at 7 p.m. Fort Wayne versus Florida, 7:30 puck drop there. And out west, it's Tahoe versus Rapid City at 7:05. That's Mountain Standard Time. Well, we're going to turn the page now. Well, let's talk a little bit of Boston Bruins. 8-7. Suddenly 8-7. Isn't that something? The last time I talked about the Boston Bruins, I was bemoaning their start. It was after that Ottawa game, that just awful Ottawa game, and was really feeling kind of bummed out, Then they get into that next game against the Islanders, give up the first 2 goals. You're like, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. Like, we are stepping right back into where we were a year ago. And since then, they've won 4 games in a row, like I said, sitting 8-7. We know that schedule's very, very condensed with the Olympics coming up. And I think they've kind of survived this early season. They've played more, I think, the most games in their division so far. So they've played a lot of hockey in a very short amount of time, and they've kind of survived it. But over the last 4, 5-2 winners over the Islanders, 4-3 over Buffalo, 2-1 versus Carolina, a game I thought would be a bloodbath for the Bruins. And then, of course, last night, 4-3 on the road, on the island, taking on the Islanders. So great to see it. What are we seeing on the ice, guys? As you're watching these games, what are your thoughts? Leave those comments down below. What I'm seeing is a commitment to defense, a commitment to playing within that structure, which I think we all know is very, very necessary for this team to win. If they're going to go any place this year, it's going to be on the backs of that defensive structure as being part of their identity and really good goaltending. And when you know it, Hampus Lindholm is back. The team is 5-1 with him in the lineup. So, I mean, I know there's still some Hampus haters out there, but man, he's really, really important to this club, especially this year. You really need him out there. You need to keep him healthy. Another note I made here was the McAvoy and Zadorov pairing. Looks really, really good out there. Zadorov's physicality, I love. That pairing's bringing some attitude. They're bringing some leadership. They're setting some tone out there on the ice for the rest of the team. And I just think overall that structure defensively, not just with the pairings, but with the forward group too, is getting better. They're making better decisions. They're not as many of those 2 guys skating to the same part of the ice or to the same skater, just kind of playing within that structure and not giving up cheap ones. So that's been really, really good to see. And I think that first period last night really highlights the kind of defense they're playing. That was one of the most boring first periods, low, low event periods you're going to find. But that's exactly what you want. If you're a Boston Bruins fan, low event periods like that means your defense is probably playing really, really well, not giving up any shots. I think the Islanders had 3 shots on goal in that first period. That's great. I mean, more of that, please, if you're the Bruins. I saw some really good back checking. The sticks were active last night, and their transition game was quite a bit better last night too. So really like seeing that. Yeah, they earned every part of that win. I know it goes to a shootout, as kind of a flip of a coin type of thing, but a good test and a road win, something they also really needed. But looking on the stretch, I mean, I really look at that Carolina game going back to Saturday, probably the most complete effort of the year. Yes, a team in Carolina that was missing some of their guys. Of course, we know the team is missing Lindholm here for us. So, but still an impressive win against a very, very good team, a cup contending team. Um, and a game, again, I just didn't really give the Bruins much of a chance in that one. So great to see them close that out and not panic when they gave up the late one. I think there was a lot of thought that, okay, they gave up one, they're just going to tie it up. Carolina's going to tie, we're going to go to overtime, we're going to lose in overtime and just lick our wounds with the 1 point. But they held their ground. Again, that defensive structure, they stuck with it, they stayed in it, and they didn't panic. This was a game a year ago. This team is losing 3-2 every day, just every day. So really, really good to see this 4-game stretch. Hopefully they'll keep it going. I believe they play Thursday night. I don't have it in front of me who they're playing. I could probably look that up though. Anyway, some key stats, some team stats here right now. Goals for, they're 3.2 on average per game. That's good for 15th in the league. Their power play is 13th in the league at 22%. PK is at 11%, 82.8. And the faceoff dot, 4th, 54.3%. Awesome to see that. Of course, Lindholm is out. Kustadinov has stepped up. He looked pretty darn good last night. He's got that speed. He's got that kind of lower gravity play. He was a shorter player. A little bit of kind of reminders of maybe a Brad Marchand type guy. I don't really want to say he's going to be Brad Marchand, but speed, and again, you can just stay low to the ground. And the last 2-3 games, very, very good. Of course, gets the goal late and then was getting the shootout winner last night as well. He's got 3 points on the year. Really like this kid. Really like this kid a lot. Was he a first or second round draft pick in Minnesota? So this was a kid that was pretty well thought of as a young guy and still was, 22, 23 years old. So there's a lot to like here. This could be a little diamond in the rough for the Maine Mariners, for the Boston Bruins. We have real problems if Kustadinov ends up with the Maine Mariners. Let's just say that. But another player of note, I'd say Victor Arvidsson, really starting to pick up his game as well here. 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points for him. And he's one of those guys, and when he gets going, he can go on these little streaks. And so that's been really nice to see. And then Casey Mittelstadt, 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points. He's just been right around the net, getting goals. And this was a kid that was kind of thought of, okay, is he going to stick around here? Are we going to have to trade him out? Always tons of potential, but didn't work in Buffalo. Got traded to Colorado. That didn't really work. And then, of course, he comes over here in the Charlie Coyle trade. And, you were hoping you would see something like this, and you're starting to see it. So it's really, really good. You hope it's sustainable because the kid's got a talent. He's the exact kind of player you need in those middle lines if you're going to go anyplace this year. So a lot of good. I mean, I've been, it's nice to have some good to talk about. I am a Toronto Blue Jay fan, so I'm not going to talk about it. I know some people have already asked me. I'm not ready to talk about that. I'm going to talk to my therapist next week. It's gutting. So it's really good to have some good Boston Bruins stuff to talk about, some good Maine Mariners stuff to talk about. I'm absolutely loving that. And I'm also loving Marco Sturm. Just his brute honesty about his club. I love this. Even amongst the winning, he's very honest about what this team is. He has his pulse on this team. He knows they're not this elite level skilled team. He understands there's a way they have to play and a way they're going to be successful. And it's not going to be, a high flying offense like what you might have in Colorado or, when Florida's really healthy. They have to play within that defensive structure like we talked about. That has to be their identity. He calls it out. He owns it. And I think what you're seeing is the team and the players are starting to buy into the system. I think that's what these last 4 games have been, is the players buying in and listening and finding success. So that's just absolutely awesome to see. Of course, one note here, no Mason Lohrei for the past few games. He has not played since October 27th. That was that game up in Ottawa, that just dumpster fire of a game. Kid has a long way to go. very important player, highly talented player. We saw the struggle last year. I mentioned him a couple weeks ago, just continuing to struggle, just not taking any steps. And now he's being sat down. And, I know Sturmy's been asked about it a couple of times. And he's like, listen, I hope the kid's pissed. I hope he's pissed off. He should be pissed off because he should not be out of the lineup. But there's a lot of reasons why he has just too many mistakes. Too many defensive lapses out there. And he's got to figure it out. He also has to play, I think, too. I don't think you want the kid sitting too long. He's not going to Providence, so let's get that out of the way. There's no way he clears waivers. So he's here, but he's hopefully taking some good notes and sitting up there in the box during games and seeing the game from a different perspective. Sometimes that can help a young kid. No doubt we'll see him back in the lineup soon, but let's just hope he can figure it out. So real quick, guys, looking at tonight's slate of games in the NHL, you've got Utah at Toronto. That's at 7 o'clock. The Blues go into the nation's capital to play the Capitals. Kind of a struggling Capitals team, 6-5-1. That game is at 7:30 on TNT. 9:30, you have the Blue Jackets at the Flames. 10 o'clock, Blackhawks at the Vancouver Canucks. And then 10 o'clock as well, the Sharks up in Seattle to take on the Kraken. And then let's just head over to Thursday. It is the Senators at the Bruins back at the Garden, 7 o'clock puck drop there. Hopefully the Bees will have an opportunity to, pay it forward to what the Ottawa did to us just the last time we played them. Another note here, Nazem Kadri of the Calgary Flames. This will be his 1,000th played game in the NHL. So big congrats to Nazem. He's been an excellent pro. Of course, a rough start in Toronto, but he's a Stanley Cup winner from Colorado. And it's been just a really good veteran guy there in Calgary. No doubt, I feel like he probably gets traded at some point this season. Just Calgary is going no place and really struggling. And he's 35 years old? So I imagine he'll be on the move to some sort of a contender. But let's take a look at these standings, guys. This is just kind of crazy land out here in the NHL. I'm just going to read these off to you. Starting in the East, you've got Montreal 9-3-1 with 19 points. Detroit sitting second, 9-5 with 18, and then your Boston Bruins sitting third at 8-7. Going to the Metro, the Devils at 9-4. They've had a little bit of a slide lately, but still sitting first at 18 points. The Pittsburgh Penguins, what in the world, guys? The Penguins 8-4-2 with 18 points. Making my predictions look awfully bad. I had them 8th in the division. This is not the 2016 Pittsburgh Penguins, so I do question if it's sustainable for them. But hey, you got to tip their cap through 14 games. They're sitting right in the heart of the Metro Division. And then you have the Carolina Hurricanes 8-4 with 16 points. Of course, dealing with some injury, but they'll be just fine. Right now, if the playoffs ended today, which is kind of crazy to talk about, it'd be Toronto and the Philadelphia Flyers as your two wildcard clubs. And then just looking here at the bottom, look who is at the bottom of the East. It is the Florida Panthers, 6-6-1 with 13 points. So, of course, we know they've got their big injuries. Of course, Tkachuk will be back. We don't think Barkov will be back. But I never had that on my bingo card, seeing the Florida Panthers in dead last at any point in the East. Now, we do know, looking at this, you go from 19 points to the very top to 13 at the very bottom. You're only talking a 3-game swing for the entire league. So, yeah, very, very tight in the East, and no doubt there'll be some movement. But, yeah, it's just a little bit upside down right now to see, especially a team like Boston, a team like Pittsburgh, right in the mix, a team like Philly, still right in the mix, and then teams like Florida, Washington sitting at 13 points as well. The Rangers at 14 points. They're down near the bottom of the division of the East. Moving out west, I think it's not going to be quite as tight. I think this will become more defined as we go. Got the Colorado Avalanche, 21 points, 8-1-5. Winnipeg Jets losing last night, but 9-4 with 18 points. And the Utah Mammoth, one of my favorites this year, 9-4 with 18 points. Going to the Pacific Division, it's the Anaheim Ducks. When was the last time we saw them at the top of the divisions? 8-3-1 with 17 points. The Vegas Golden Knights, 7-2-3 for 17 points. And the Seattle Kraken, another team I had very, very low expectations of this year, 6-2-4 for 16 points. they're another one I do question, is it sustainable? But again, tip your cap, they're sticking right around that. Right now, it's Dallas and the LA Kings that would be in that wild card position. Dallas 7-3-3 with 17 points. The LA Kings 6-4-4 for 16 points. Just getting their first home win last night, too, by the way. They're kind of a mediocre type team. I'm a little bit worried about the Kings. We'll see what happens there. Rest of the West right now, of course, you got Edmonton off to another kind of clunky, kind of ho-hum start for themselves. And then really another surprise here, the St. Louis Blues, a playoff team from a year ago, really struggling out of the gate, 4-7-2 for 10 points. You wonder if Monty can get that ship turned around. He'll have plenty of rope, I'm sure, to do it, but there's a lot more talent in that room than how they're playing. So be curious to see if they can get that ship turned around. Last one I'll talk about here, guys, the Chicago Blackhawks. Not a dumpster fire anymore, guys. They're sitting, yes, out of the wild card right now, but 5-5-3 for 13 points. And yeah, they're a +1 in the goals for, 39 goals for, 38 goals against, and they're fun to watch. They're exciting to watch, and they look like they're having a lot more fun out there. So great to see that for the young kid, Connor Bedard. Obviously, we know it's so early on. Most of these teams have played 14, 15 games. Some have only played 12 or 13, so long ways to go yet, but I just thought it was a fun exercise to go through and to see how kind of bonkers these standings look. I'm really curious about the Montreal Canadiens, guys. I really am. 9-3-1, because this is legit. Okay, this is not some sort of fluke, soft schedule at the beginning. No, this team is going to be really good, and they're going to be really good for a long time. I think they've built this thing up the right way with a bunch of young players. They have a couple of stars in there. If they can get the goaltending as they have been, they're going to be good this year. And like I say, I think they're going to be good for a long time to come. I know I'm a Boston Bruins fan. I shouldn't be cheering for that. But listen, man, the NHL is always better, always just more exciting when some of these Canadian markets are in it, especially a team like Montreal. As much as it maybe cringes inside of me to say that, it's true. It's true. So anyway, guys, that's what we have for you today. Just my final thoughts here. Another big thank you to Executive Director of USA Hockey, Pat Kelleher. He was on the program earlier this week. If you have not watched that video, go check that out. Pat is just amazing. Tons of information around USA Hockey. We talked Olympics. We talked some NCAA stuff and rule changes and what the landscape looks like. So it was an excellent interview. Go check that one out. And I am happy to say I will be back at the Cross on Friday night, serving as Mike Keeley's color commentator for that game against Worcester. So looking forward to being back on the air with Keels. And yeah, should be a lot of fun. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening today. If you're new to the program, I want to say thank you for checking this out. If you've already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for your support. If you haven't done so already, hit that like and subscribe button down below. It'll help keep you up to date on everything coming up next here on the channel. And until next time, everybody, be kind, show love. We all need it. And God bless.